Strawn, but it sneaks through.
It went to nobody in a red uniform. It hit the post, but they did turn to pick up the crumbs. So perhaps a bit of luck falling the way of South Australia. They are the defending champions. They're in chase position. They're down by 5 against the more fancied Victoria. Razuka steps across, clears some space for the shot. Very steady, balanced shooter. Has the mouth guard in.
Penalties at the moment, 22 to Victoria, 17 to South Australia. Ball's been turned over by South Australia more often, 10 there and 3 to Victoria.
Contact from Skinner.
Skinner allowing the ball to go over the sideline so she can get back into position.
Vantage contact.
Good lunge from Manton on the baseline. And that one drops. It's 5. So South Australia have come out determined to run goal for goal. They'd like to pick up a few on the way. Strawn handles it nicely on the transverse line, swings across court. The drive comes from Razukas.
And that's so uncharacteristic too. On that occasion, Godden taking the ball on the transverse and Liebelt not even offering any defence on the Victorian defender, moving it up forward in attack.
Perhaps it's South Australia's game plan just to sit through the first half and then whammo, put the foot down in the second. We shall see. It's close enough now. Victoria in possession. Down court through Skinner. Another pass, I've got to say, that under normal circumstances will be plucked out of the air by a South Australian defender, that cross-court parallel ball. But they're sitting back, playing a tighter game on the Victorian forwards.
And yesterday, once again, against New South Wales, they were moving off the ball quite quickly, and they were perhaps backing their judgment. Their confidence was riding high. It's a different type of plan here today against Victoria, whether John has sat down, John Belton, new South Australian coach, and gone through perhaps what Razukas and Strawn do, and perhaps implemented the fact that the defenders need to sit tight on them and not allow them to create too much space.
Strawn puts it into the space for Lynch. Razukas drops away so comfortably behind Kim Smith, who was unaware of the space she'd allowed. And that was a little too easy for Victoria, and that takes it to 8. So Victoria, as they did in the first quarter, have found a couple of minutes where they quickly have exploited the scoreline. Hodge. Contact call. Pushing off goes against Manton. Use of the elbow called by Stacey Campton.
Good drive there by Skinner onto the ball. Victoria effective at the moment in finding forward line. Defence is really moving well into attack.
Victoria playing a skillful game. Very few errors against them. That one drops off the ring at the back, and a strong take from South Australia. Quick ball. That's a good outlet. Clears some space to Clare. Contact call goes against Godden, who raises eyes to the heavens, and that's not going to help. Manton to the post. Good work over the ball from Rebecca Strawn. Forces the miss, and they back it up with the rebound. Victoria create the turnover.
Oh,
that's the one we've been waiting for. Hodge. It comes through Hodge. Kind of fancied it might have come through Westbrook or Byrne, but that'll do, and that gets it back. 23, Victoria leads South Australia 16, halfway through the second quarter. Number 2 versus number 4 as they came in at the end of the rounds. Victoria, as was expected, finding their way into the final, courtesy of a win over Queensland. South Australia, courtesy of the upset over number 1 ranked New South Wales. And just to take you through some results from earlier today in the 21 and under division, Tasmania have finished in 7th place. They didn't need to play today. Northern Territory haven't entered in this division. Western Australia defeated the ACT to finish in 5th. And New South Wales defeated Queensland to secure 3rd place. And 1 and 2, we'll tell you at the end of this one.
Dropping short there for Manton. Liebelt takes the rebound well. Can't sink it at the moment, the South Australian shooters. 7 from 8 is Katie Liebert, and 10 from 13 Manton. 77% overall. South Australia shooting at 81%.
You really can't question either team too much in the shooting department. For young sides to be putting up 80 and 81 respectively in a national final, that's tremendous shooting under pressure.
Space there to Hodge, but the wrong option taken.
A poor ball from Hodge. It was the wrong decision and the wrong placement. It was behind the player she chose, and it was the other shooter who had the better offer. So Victoria with the chance to push it out even further from a South Australian error. And how easy was that? Opened up so well for Razoukas. They take it to 25, so the lead is 8. Just over 6 minutes remaining until half-time. South Australia looking for some of the sparkle they managed yesterday in the semi-final.
Liebelt steps it in, gains the advantage to the post. South Australia coached there by John Belton. There's Lampshire to the right.
to the left of screen.
Sorry, yeah, yes, wrong side.
Short blonde hair. It's like looking in a mirror, huh? And it's Lampshire that has sustained the ankle injury. So if you see a shot at the end of the match and there's two of them on crutches, that's them, Lampshire and Krieg, one of the most unfortunate sides at Nationals this year. 26, Victoria leads South Australia 18. Just over 5 minutes remaining until half-time. Hodge, again, too much on it to connect with Claire, just misjudging the move.
Reprieve, though, however, Claire to set it up. Liebelt comes out. Manton's going to work the space. Well done.
And this time, one of the rare opportunities in the match to date. It opens for South Australia. The space opened. So good patience from the South Australian feeders as we have a look at the leg brace work on Nikki Krieg.
Westbrook out of play against Lynch, and we have mentioned Amy Lynch for Victoria. 188 centimetres. Does have the edge over Westbrook.
And I think it's frustrating Westbrook. She's incurred 8 penalties, and it's probably chasing the height and the reach. So she's been a little costly for South Australia. And costly for Victoria has been their goal defence, Tracy Godden, who has 9 penalties against her. Right, they won't worry about that too much while they hold this lead. 27, they lead 19. Under 5 remaining until the break. Lynch pushes it across to Lynch. Amy to Erin. Remember that Amy is at wing attack for Victoria. Erin is the shorter of the two and is running at centre, and they are not related as Razoukas nails another for Victoria.
And you can see the experience that Razoukas is perhaps demonstrating here today with this Victorian side. She is calm, she is cool. Turnovers there, 14 to South Australia, only 4 to Victoria as Claire attempts a deflection but picked up by Lynch. 10 games this year for Razoukas. For the Kestrels in season 2000, she averaged only 67% shooting average in the National League. But it matters not here today, right under the post of Victoria. She's nailing them at the moment, 86%.
And the lead now 10, the difference 10 as Victoria push it away. Amy Lynch, we've discussed her height, was a member of the Australian 21 and under side that was successful at World Youth Cup this year. So Norma Plummer having charge of her then. And what a delight that team was. Defeated Jamaica in the final. Razoukas, too experienced at Australian 21 level. Previously, and a member, of course, of the Melbourne Kestrels this year. As Victoria look for another, they're pushing it for 11, and it will be just that. And there is the woman of the moment. Michelle Razoukas takes Victoria to 30. 2 minutes 48 out from half-time. Victoria in control of this 21 and under national final. What a ball. Razoukas threads it through the eye of a needle to Strawn. Meredith Strawn using the base beautifully.
Just the confidence to let that go as well from Razoukas to Strawn. Strawn putting their hands out, almost stuck. And just a quick glance to my left will show that the Victorian bench has moved. They will be warming up. Probably a precautionary measure from Gillian Lee to make sure all her players still remain involved and focused in the game. Manton. Good switch there across to Claire. Circle open, that left the advantage in front of play into Manton. Well, isn't it ironic? South Australia will go to the half-time break in very similar to position to which they found themselves yesterday. They trailed New South Wales by 10 at half-time.
in the first semi-final. Turn things around in the second half. Do you think it's too much for John Belden to hope it'll happen 2 days in a row?
No, I suppose that's what he is hoping for, and he'll probably draw on yesterday's performance and reinforce, well, you know that you can do it. You have that feeling, the understanding of being that margin down at the half-time break and digging in and performing well as a unit. And that really is what it's all about here for South Australia today.
But they're getting a dose of their own medicine at the moment. Victoria is the team coming up with the intercepts and the turnovers. This to take Victoria to a 12-goal lead. Just over a minute remaining until the break.
Razuka setting it up well, switches her legs and play.
Michelle Razuka's invaluable for Victoria in this final. The difference 12 through the hands of Westbrook. South Australia really not looking confident on court. They are going to need to have some kind of magic moment at half-time to turn things around. Even that one lost rhythm, that shot from Liebelt was forced. Amy Lynch will stand out of play for the moment. South Australia with the drive at the post. Manton puts it back. Maybe just shades of trying to dredge something up as both players go to the ground. Seconds remaining. And all for nothing. Victoria maintain their 12-goal advantage. They look for the long ball, hold it up. Godden will help. Support play from the defenders in attack. The baseline there again for Strawn. She very quick on the shot. She's greedy, and that will count. So right on time. Strawn nets one for Victoria, and at half-time, Victoria leads South Australia 33-20.
Victoria really driving it home in that second turn, opening up that margin now. 13 the difference. Match statistics, if we look at the comparisons, penalties, much of the same. Rebounds, South Australia much stronger. They look at the turnovers, however. South Australia turning over far too often to Victoria. Attempts at the post, well, Victoria a lot more. They're shooting an 83% average. South Australia only 27 attempts at 24, that half-time score.
So we go to the break with Victoria in a commanding position, 33-20. And as we mentioned, some of these girls have had a busy year. The Australian 21 and under team, of course, successful at World Youth Cup. Steve caught up with the Australian 21's coach, Norma Plummer, earlier today.
Well, Norma Plummer, congratulations, first of all, on the World Cup victory back in the middle of the year. It must have given you great pride.
Oh, it was fantastic, and the girls certainly deserved the win. They worked very, very hard for it for the year. We put a lot of effort into it, and probably finished up with about 57 matches for the year, and that's a lot of netball.
A career highlight for you, personally?
Well, I guess getting a back-to-back title for a World Youth Cup is fantastic because it keeps Australia at number one, and you know, if you asked me to split the two between 96 and this one, I wouldn't be able to because both teams were fantastic. But it was great for Australia.
And, of course, you met Jamaica in the final. Some would not have been expecting that. We always think, well, it'll be New Zealand, Australia. That wasn't the case. Jamaica were great opponents.
Yeah, I felt New Zealand hadn't done their homework, Steve, because basically, from my point of view, when I went to the World Championships in October of '99 to have a look at what Jamaica were doing in the senior ranks, they had 4 players that could come back into the junior team. And I figured, well, if my pre-tour was going to be on, I was going to Jamaica, which we did. And it was great because you can talk to your players about the physicalness and the type of play, the flair in that Jamaica have, but until you play against it, you really need to test it out. So the players had it first hand. So when we got to Cardiff, there was no surprises.
And is the fact that Jamaica are strong, that's good for Caribbean netball, I guess?
Oh, it's great because the one thing that happened for Jamaica was the day they came out against us, they'd beaten New Zealand in that semi, and what it meant was they were going home with a medal. Whether it be silver or gold, they were going home with a medal. And it turned out they were so excited because they were going to be the first team of any sport ever to go home with a medal.
And, of course, you're here this week checking out other talent. What are your thoughts so far?
Well, I've got some players, of course, that leave the Australian under-21 program and move out. And I'll have 5 players that were residential this year at the AIS that are staying on, and the others are moving out. Some of them have spent 3 years, some was 2 years. And so it's time for another new selection, and this is the build-up now for the Tri-Series in June next year, where we'll be off to Jamaica, play it in Australia and also in New Zealand.
So you're wearing 2 hats. What do you think of the combination of the 2 jobs, 21 and under coach at the AIS as well?
Well, I was very fortunate this year because I had 11 out of the 12 players were fully residential. And I would say this year, by the time we announce the Australian under-21 squad, all of the players that are in the Australian under-21 squad, that will make up the 14 players at the AIS. So that's what we wanted, and that's how it's coming. The players are now putting their hand up to come into the AIS to be part of it all.
And we have discussed the format here this week. It's been pushed late by the Olympics, of course. Just gathering thoughts about the format. What are yours?
It's been a bit hard for the selectors, as in watching every game since Monday and the double headers and that, because we've seen so much of the players this year, and we're actually looking at how we might streamline our position in sort of being here all the time, watching every game. I think there's a better format because we've looked at it and we really haven't missed any player who we've felt deserves selection at any time because of under-19s, under-17s, and because of our talent ID programs, where we don't think we're letting any slip through. So we could afford to streamline this better.
Norma, thanks for talking to us, and again our congratulations for that big result mid-year in the World Youth Cup.
Thank you very much, and that was one for Australia.
Players on court for the start of the 3rd quarter, just awaiting the official end of the half-time break. And that will be it as Stacey Campton crosses the court with the match ball, offloads to Victoria, who will get us underway. So Victoria get the second half of this 21 and under final underway. They have possession, they have a decent lead, 13-goal lead at the start of this second half. 33 they lead South Australia 20. As Strawn goes to the post in just the same fashion as they did in the first half, confident and accurate. South Australia, Hodge. And there have been some changes to the South Australian lineup. So John Belton, not prepared to sit, has moved Alicia Clare from wing attack. She's been replaced by Adele Cross. So a different player at wing attack for South Australia. And for Victoria too, Tracy Godden at goal defence has left the game. She's been replaced by Robin O'Brien. We did mention Godden had proven a little costly with respect to penalties. But I think Gillian Lee obviously having confidence that she has the depth in her lineup to be able to expose other players to this match. And why not? Victoria comfortable with a 14-goal lead.
Liebelt down there, but she's back up again. Manton taking the opportunity, but bad pass there from Manton.
And enter Robin O'Brien.
Yes.
What a way to come into the game. And perhaps that's why she was given her ticket. So Victoria defensively reading the game beautifully, have shut down several options for South Australia. By comparison, South Australia just a little quiet in defence, have sat on the back foot longer than we thought. The only intercept I can recall has come through Hodge, their centre.
Yes, she drove onto the ball, and I think the difference from yesterday's performance is that the open side were creating the atmosphere for this young 21 and under team, and it doesn't seem to be that same atmosphere. We can see the open side there on the baseline behind the promotional paraphernalia, and yesterday they were very vocal.
Yeah, well, it's really lifted the roof here at the Silverdome yesterday. As we mentioned, New South Wales with a comfortable lead, and then South Australia, a 7-goal run, turned things around, put themselves back in the game, and then were unstoppable. They could do no wrong. Their open team got behind them. The New South Wales fans were silenced, and it was an exhibition from the young South Australian side that at this stage they're not able to recapture. Manton brings it back by 1, takes South Australia to 23. Strawn.
Bound to the
Cross court to O'Brien. Again, nobody looking to come out onto the flat parallel passes.
Good pressure there from Westbrook, really pushing Lynch to the sideline, but still with Victoria.
Lynch in the corner. Her height has been an asset to this young Victorian side. Smith goes down for South Australia, stumbles over a foot and stays down. So the head's well and truly down for South Australia. No spring in the step. And a timeout will be called. Gillian Lee quick to get into her players as Kim Smith just asked that the ankle strapping be looked at. Not a happy face.
Physio there, Anna McVan, attending to Kim Smith.
And the other end of the court, John Belton, the South Australian coach, this time quick to get in and have a word. Not pumped up, just quietly talking to them, I guess reminding them what they've managed in other games.
And Gillian Lee there,
a little more animated,
players, yes.
Arms are waving around, but difference in the expressions. A very relaxed camp, the Victorian unit. Gillian Lee talking to them about body positioning, and I'd say, by the way, those fingers are working, perhaps about movement and rotation, keeping their forward line open and changing. John Belton, by contrast, looks a little worried. Mind you, I took great delight in watching him yesterday against New South Wales. He looked like somebody was trying very hard to look composed when he wasn't.
That's the team manager there, Pat Miller, our statistician's mother, Todd Miller's mum.
Her claim to fame, Todd Meister's mum. Okay, they're just wiping the floor, making sure there's no perspiration left. Otherwise, with the speed at which these girls operate, we could have a serious injury on our hands. So we're back in courtesy of South Australian possession. Cross, using her speed around the edge of the circle. A stronger build, Adele Cross, will perhaps add a new dimension to the South Australian forward line.
And somewhat taller than Alicia Clare, also standing at 180 centimetres.
No drive onto the ball from Victoria. Then one of the few occasions Rizuka sat back, didn't push out into the open space. Strong then, though, but can't handle it over the baseline. And South Australia will take the throw in. Kim Smith quick to try and get us underway, but Rizuka shuts it down. She makes amends for the handling area just seconds ago. Adds another to the total. The difference is 14. Victoria 38 leads South Australia 24. This is the national final in the 21 and under division. South Australia, the defending champions.
Time to wait there from Lee Belton, set up the shot. She does it well. Over O'Brien, who's come into this game in the third term, and Strawn really shut down the two South Australian attackers.
Lynch to Rizukas. Top of circle to Lynch. Strawn. Well, hard to fault the Victorian shooters. 3 misses against Strawn and just 4 against Rizukas. They're averaging 85%. South Australia have just slipped off the pace. Manton down to 68% now, so a team average in this match of 76. So that, combined with the lack of possession they've been enjoying, could be a little soul-destroying.
And we just see there the two shooters for South Australia, Manton and Liebelt, not taking the initiative in coming forward, both of them moving on to the goal line, and that is absolute heaven for any defender.
Rizukas a little late on her move, is called for a contact. South Australia. And there's an intensity to this quarter. You can hear the crowd and the benches trying to lift the involvement. Certainly for South Australia, they need it to happen soon. Interesting, we talked about Godden being a little costly for Victoria before she left the game from goal defence. O'Brien already with 4 penalties against her. Perhaps so, it's needed. You've got to be out there attracting a few penalties if you're in the game, don't you?
Contact.
I've always agreed with that, yes.
Well, if you're not getting any penalties, you know we're near the shooter, you would tell me. And that was a pretty close-up view of the match ball. I hope our camera person is still smiling, all teeth intact.
Hodge not looking for the drive down court, took the option of Byrne, and perhaps the vision should be what's happening down in the forward end. That was weighted well.
Beautiful ball, but it was a closed circle
Yes.
prior to that ball. Neither South Australian shooter prepared to open it, so maybe they've been told sit back and let the ball come to you. Now they open it, but I tell you what, Cross picked the option, and the disposal was beautiful. Now they go to the post, and you can just feel there's a little bit happening in the South Australian camp. It's back to 11, and they would like to think it's the start of a run as Victoria tries to maintain their composure and their rhythm. Hodge is out into Lynch on the corner. Amy Lynch hands off to Meredith Strawn, who steadies. Intimidation call against Nikki Smith. There was a little talk from a couple of people that yesterday her performance, perhaps back at keeper, was a little intimidating. I don't mean that in an emotional sense, but in the movement over the shot that she offers.
Was that comment made by the New South Wales
shooter?
outfit?
No. Actually, no. By a non-netball aficionado.
Yeah.
Not a heavy at all. No, they said they thought it was just a little bit too much movement over the shot. The defenders are allowed to take a position and hold that over the ball, but not really to offer too much action.
Good attempt there by Westbrook, just to fractionate, and again on that occasion. So work rate at the moment, absolutely explosive by Westbrook in at wing defence for South Australia. Just give it to her, yep, she's there.
Got to say, there is certainly an increase in the workload and the emotion from South Australia. They're trying to make it happen. Razoukas, though, is going to be a thorn in their side. She is rock solid at the back of that Victorian lineup. Her composure, incredible for one of her few years. 41, Victoria leads South Australia 28. It's all ahead of the defending champions. Halfway through the third quarter.
Just on that previous play, Anne, we see that coming back from Razoukas into the pocket, Hodge had hands on. The previous play there from Victoria, when the goalie is set up on the perimeter and the defender is behind them, young juniors of the world, and particularly in Australia, you have nowhere to go. Let the ball go. Once that ball was released, then you can create another positional move.
South Australia now with possession from the centre. Cross.
Oh, a good attempt there from Lynch, but she goes offside in the process. And a contact. It's the first call.
So the penalty will be taken outside the circle. First infringement, the contact. Now it's advanced. Liebelt to the post. Can't score. Now they'll take the throw in. Still looked fairly relaxed, the South Australian shooters. They're not really showing the pressure of the chase. But they're running out of time. There's just under 6 minutes remaining until the next break. We're in the third quarter. 21 and under national final as South Australia chisel away at a pretty decent margin. Victoria in command at this stage.
Down to the obstruction, wing.
As they have been from the start. They went to the first break as we see an awkward fall from Erin Lynch. But quickly to her feet.
Very well indeed to take that, almost split and come back up.
No injury, no held ball.
No, nothing.
Take my hat off to her. Razoukas calling the shot. Let's have another look.
Oh,
that was awkward.
Down. Gets up.
Well, both on the ankle and the groin.
Yes.
The split was incredible. Looking for the baseline outlet. They swing it into the corner. A little static in the circle, but they find another goal. It's to 30. The difference back to 13.
It's a very even third term to date. That was the half-time margin.
Liebelt has lifted. She's now 16 from 20, so she's come alive in this third quarter. She's lifted her accuracy to 80%. Victoria led 16 to 10 at the first break. At half-time, it was 33 to 20.
Stretch there from Byrne, but matters not to Strawn, who's also shooting rather well for Victoria. She's only missed 3 to date, 16 from 19 attempts at 84%. Razoukas, their sharpshooter, 88%.
They're finding hard to rattle these Victorian shooters. And South Australia keep coming, but they need to force some change of possession. It needs to be a full-court defensive effort with something special from their back line. They need to be hunting it down. But they continue to play the back position behind the attacker. And all that's happening is they're incurring penalties as a result. Westbrook now on 11. Smith has accrued 9.
Yes.
39 penalties now against South Australia. Mind you, it's more against Victoria. They've got 45 against them. But again, it's played from behind and it's retreat, retreat, retreat. South Australia need to get off the body and come onto the ball. And the clock is working against them. 3 minutes 40 until the break. Victoria 44 leads South Australia 31. Here's a turnover. What can they do? Pressure comes from Lynch. Hodge holds her ground. She steadies. They're patient down court.
Pushed it out there to Cross, yes.
Yeah, Cross keeps it alive. Westbrook helping in support through attack. And again, the move too soon there from Leavitt. The timing way out that needed a move behind her to open.
But even the commitment to the ball wasn't there. She stopped. She did have front position, but stopped short of that.
Yeah, she should have cleared. She was in too soon. Now they get a second chance, and that's a clumsy tackle from Skinner, who's a little late on the charge. And Hodge again on the receiving end. Must be feeling a little weary. She's run the centre well. Take
Ball
another look
out,
as Smith pushes it across, and not only was it late, but it was a hand thrust straight through into the face of Hodge. Chance to bring another one back. Okay, we've got a 12-goal difference, so one by one they're coming. This would make it 11. Are we going to see another South Australian comeback? Well, it's slowed for the moment, and maybe that's the difference. Yesterday when they mounted their charge, the luck and the calls went with them. At the moment, every time they get a break, there's an umpiring call or an error that just halts the flow. Or Strawn a little bit too much. Wazukas was under pressure that time from Kim Smith. Okay, South Australia with another opportunity. Smith will take the throw in. Byrne waves the hands to the team to say, keep it steady. Westbrook can't handle. Regathers. Smith goes a slow looping ball through the midcourt. It was there to be eaten. They hold it up again. And as has been the pattern, the transition from the midcourt into the shooting third is not happening for them.
Quite static once they get to the defensive transverse. A few unforced errors, and the shooters are being well held there by O'Brien and Strawn.
And we're just 1 minute 30 out from the break, so South Australia trying to get a fire going, but it's not happening. And what will happen is that the break will take any simmer off that kettle for them. We're nowhere near a boil, but you can sense it starting.
Victoria really opening up as they move out of defence into their attack line. That long pass coming out from the defenders, and also
was very soft from the South Australian defenders then. That opened nicely from Victoria. Erin Lynch offloads, finds Strawn on the baseline. And that is a beautiful shot. And it shows you just how comfortable and confident these Victorian shooters are. They have a 14-goal lead with less than a minute remaining until the break.
It's been a fairly even third quarter, though, when you look at the half-time difference of 13.
South Australia back in the game, but just not able to drag the margin in. They've got it in ones and twos, but the run they found yesterday has not shown its face today. So we're just over 15 minutes of netball away from crowning the 2000 national champion in the 21 and under division. It has the signs of it being Victoria, unless South Australia can pull out something special in the final quarter. Seconds ticking down. South Australia open the arm for the high ball, but it's through the hands and they won't be able to go to the post. So that is three-quarter time. Victoria 46 leads South Australia 33.
And the attempts to post by the South Australians, 43 attempts for 33 goals. So they have a shooting average at the moment of 77%. 40 penalties they've given away overall. And really Westbrook is perhaps the victim there on this occasion at wing defence for South Australia, giving away quite a lot in that position.
So Victoria 46 leads South Australia 33. Victoria, of course, won their place in the final courtesy of a win yesterday against Queensland. Here are some highlights of that semi-final.
Victoria had beaten Queensland by 10 on the first day of the championships last Monday.
The Queenslanders knew a good steady start was crucial to their chances, and they were prepared to work as hard as necessary to stay in it. They traded early goals to be 3-all after 3 minutes. The agile and accurate Michelle Rasoukas was to prove the first half trump card for the VICs. Her fine shooting soon took them to a 7-5 lead. Queensland coughed up vital possession late in the quarter to find themselves trailing 18-11 at the first break. Although unrelated, Amy and Erin Lynch in the Victorian midcourt showed a sister-like understanding, and Rasoukas capitalised on every feed. The lead was soon out to 11. With the Queensland goalers forced to shoot from long range and Victoria grabbing plenty of rebounds, the margin continued to grow, and Rasoukas was in everything. A good save here, her first half shooting an immaculate 20 from 20. Trailing by 13, Queensland came out firing in the third, grabbing 4 quick goals without reply. Kate Miller had come on at goalkeeper to try to quieten Rasoukas, and she had some effect, and by the last break Queensland had trimmed the margin to 6. And when Vicky Wilson's Chargers bagged the first 3 of the last quarter, an upset looked on. But the comeback seemed to have taken something from Queensland, and Victoria steadied. Rebecca Strawn was getting some good touches at goalkeeper, and her older sister Meredith had taken some of the load from Rasoukas to guarantee the win for Victoria, 56-45.
Michelle Rasoukas, hot shot for Victoria, has led the young Victorians throughout the final of Nationals. She's been in hot form. South Australia managing to run goal for goal with the Victorians in that third quarter. 13 apiece. They need far more than that to retain their crown. And Sarah Hodge gets us underway for South Australia. They had possession with the first centre of the final quarter. 21 and under, national final. Defending champions South Australia in all sorts of trouble against the more highly ranked Victoria. At the end of the rounds, Victoria seeded number 2 behind New South Wales. South Australia coming in 4th position. And Monica, I have to wonder how New South Wales, undefeated until yesterday's semi-final, would feel watching South Australia unable to finish off their work.
Probably a day too early, I think, Anne, don't you? They perhaps are wishing South Australia had performed like this yesterday.
Well, perhaps they invested too much in getting to the final. At the moment, Victoria have control, 14 the difference, and it will take a very special effort from this young South Australian side to alter the script as Amy Lynch offloads smartly to Michelle Rasoukas. Lynch has been instrumental in the Victorian forward line, member of the Australian 21 and under successful World Youth Cup side. She has controlled the reins. Erin Lynch at centre, offloads to Strawn. Strawn follows up. She takes the throw-in for Victoria. And between these two teams, since 1990, each of them have won the 21 and under title 4 times. So 4 times apiece. They're well versed, albeit it's not these particular players, but as a state side, they're well versed in playing and contesting a final at this level. Up goes Manton. Oh, it drops short.
And once again, I am surprised that perhaps the South Australian Open side aren't yelling and screaming and offering support as they did yesterday to this under-21 outfit.
No, we just had a shot of them then, and they've almost settled into watching a defeat. Mind you, they haven't had a happy week themselves. Finishing, I think, historically in the 7th position, the worst they have enjoyed in the history of the competition. As we take a quick look at their junior shooters, Manton on 74%, Liebelt on 77%, so they have dropped a little across the match. They're enjoying 80s, early 80s throughout, and in fact, Manton averaging 86 coming into this game. 47. Victoria leads South Australia 35. South Australia continuing as they did in the previous quarter, chisel away at the lead. But we need a really big hammer. Not a tiny chisel at this stage. Bulldozer material. Here they go, trying to rev it up. South Australia down court smartly. They're down in 2. Now they're forced to back play. Manton out of the circle, hunting for the ball. Quick hand. She wasn't looking. It was offloaded to the back of a ponytail. They come up with it, though, and in the end, it's quite pretty. But it had a few dips and turns along the way. Doesn't do our statistician's heart any good, I'll tell you. He's a proud South Aussie. I'm flanked by them.
Two there, Liebelt and Manton, both going to the same spot. So misunderstanding here in this last quarter. Very tired. 21 and under. South Australian shooters.
They make Victoria pay. O'Brien hits the floorboards. Okay, and we're back to 10. So they've salvaged 3. Can they go on with it? I tell you what, we would see a few of the hinges loosen in this Silver Dome roof if they could run down this 10-goal split. Razoukas, though, will her composure be tested? No. And look how floppy those wrists are.
Yeah, she has been so cool.
Just another day in the office.
Experience there, Razoukas, 30 from 37, 81% shooting average. Strawn assisting her throughout the game. This is so important. We mentioned yesterday, I think, during the call in the open game, that it's imperative that both shooters are offering something to the forward line. And Razoukas and Strawn have been doing that here today.
So the hard work of the first 4 minutes from South Australia undone oh so quickly with a couple of quick plays by Victoria and the continued accuracy from Michelle Razoukas. And now Shannon Byrne, who's been very quiet in this match, stood out of play and a timeout called. And it is Erin Lynch, the Victorian centre, who has asked for treatment. Rebecca Strawn, younger sister of Meredith. Meredith, the shooter. Rebecca, the stopper of the ball. So Erin Lynch, the Victorian centre, chats with their primary carer, their physio. She's not giving too much away. South Australian bench, Nikki Creek,
yes,
and Lampshire.
Manager
no doubt
Pat Miller.
Wishing they'd be out there. Pat Miller left of screen. And Gillian Lee, I think, keen to see the next 10 minutes run by fairly quickly. She will be very pleased. Of course, very experienced campaigner at this level. Well versed in success with Victorian junior sides. And Lynch continues play. Erin Lynch appears to be okay. She hasn't really given us too many clues for the stoppage. Just had a quiet word with the physio. South Australia in attack. Too much on it, and it goes straight into the hands of Rebecca Strawn. Victoria, hold it up. Strawn.
Oh, turn Westbrook, yes.
So they've started to hunt around for some intercepts. South Australia. Hesitation from Manton, who tries to draw the penalty, gets it, puts one through. It's back to 11, the difference. Got to say, 9 minutes 30 time, enough to catch it, but they really have to run it. And just to remind you of Victoria's pathway across the game, they led at the first break 16-10. The lead at half-time was 13. Good second quarter from Victoria. They ran goal for goal in the third period. It was 13-all in that third quarter. Victoria going to the break leading 46-33. And the difference now, with just over 9 minutes remaining in this national final, Victoria 49 lead, South Australia 28.
Attempts to post, South Australia with 50 attempts to post and Victoria with 61. So at the moment, Victoria with 11 more attempts, and the margin indicative of that, 49 plays 38. The margin there, 11.
Kim Smith has been kept well off the shot in this match by both umpires.
Yes.
Picked up a couple of times for intimidation. That's quietened her action down, and several times for obstruction.
methinks a round table conference last night between the umpires, and that person that you mentioned earlier must have perhaps...
You're giving too much credit to an idle comment from just a chatty little person. But you're right, maybe somebody has looked at it, and then again we could be making too much of it, as we often do. But I think you have to say a much quieter performance from Kim Smith, the South Australian goalkeeper, than that she managed yesterday. South Australia conscious that time is ticking away, trying desperately to haul in the margin. They trail by 12. They trail by 11, and they're on the run. They're halfway through the final quarter. The 21 and under national title at stake. Cross. And you can sense the urgency on court from South Australia.
Good positioning there from Manton. Cuts in front of O'Brien and drops short. They are just so necessary, those shots.
I have to agree with you. So often you hear someone say one shot is no more important than the other. Not going there. That was a crucial one. They had a bit of a run happening. That and a centre to follow. Another break, and you're in business. Okay, here comes the turnover courtesy of Smith. Liebelt checks Manton. They're trying to play a one-to-one, the South Australian shooters, but they're rushing.
South Australia not running onto the ball, quite prepared for the ball to do the work, but at this level, defenders for Victoria coming out and really cleaning anything up that's loose.
Well, Victoria has displayed amazing control across the game, but you've got to say there have been some opportunities to string a run of play together for South Australia that they have spoilt time and time again, and they do look a little weary. They invested a lot in their pathway to this final. Their match against New South Wales, a real thriller yesterday, and with 6 minutes 25 on the clock, Victoria look like they are heading down the road of a junior title. Last year it was South Australia. This year Victoria. The question is by how much, as Razoukas takes string and takes Victoria to 52, the lead back to 13. Cross doing her best since she came on at half-time, replacing Alicia Clare at wing attack. Liebelt, cross court, looks for the drive. It's shut down by Strawn.
Must admit, I can honestly perhaps give accolades to the Victorian defenders, both Godden starting off in the starting 7 and Rebecca Strawn have made very hard for the South Australian attackers in Manton and Liebelt to make inroads in the goal circle, and then O'Brien coming on in that second half, and she really has also nailed in the circle.
Well, her first move was an intercept, and I guess you have to envy Gillian Lee, who has had obviously a great deal of depth in the defence department for her side, had the confidence to play 2 goal defenders throughout the game. They were in a lead position when she made the change. It was to expose a new player to the match. Penalty count 12 against O'Brien, 12 against Strawn. But as we mentioned earlier in the call, you're going to have to attract penalties if you're in there contesting. So it's part and parcel of the work ethic. Yet to come across a flawless defender in that department that was worth a salt. Liebelt to the post. That one sticks for South Australia. So less than 5 minutes remaining. The difference is 10. And whilst when it was 9 minutes something, I had to confess it was doable, it's looking less doable as the clock ticks down.
Razoukas been composed all day.
And once again, there was to be a penalty then, so it would have come back had it not gone through. So South Australian defenders well and truly under the whistle in this match. They enjoyed a wonderful running game yesterday, and today much quieter. Hodge looks for the impossible. It wasn't open on the baseline to Manton. The option was not a good one, but it has drawn a penalty. And it will be recalled despite its positioning under the post. Now it's through, and of course all that has the effect of doing is eating up time. And time is not something that South Australia can afford to flirt with. 10 the difference.
Oh, good leap there by Hodge, taken well, backed up. Smith calling for it.
Well, you've got to give them credit. They just keep coming. They have not laid down and died. Contact call goes against Liebelt. It's not what they wanted to hear, and O'Brien calling time is not what they wanted. But O'Brien was stung in that clash.
Loss, I think I saw the umpire indicating that perhaps she lifted up underneath her arm and caused the contact on the forward move. Liebelt now will stand out.
Yes. Liebelt, the offender. Let's try and take another look.
Yeah.
It's in back play, but yes, Liebelt will be put out for that as O'Brien dusts herself off. South Australia, though, has kept coming. I think the greatest margin, probably 16, if memory serves me right. As I look to my right, to my left, have no objections. I stay on 16. And South Australia have chiselled and gotten to 10 and just can't crack the magic number. 3 minutes 28 on the clock. And what can he do? He looks composed. I think he might be resigned to the result. Question mark over the margin.
Pulled out a copy of the replacement and shown it perhaps a 3-quarter break, but that was the inspiration for South Australia yesterday against New South Wales.
His options are limited, of course, John Belton. He did probably the only thing he could at half-time to salvage something in attack, and that was bring on Cross for Clare and try a change of body in the forward line. Bit more height, bit more strength. I think that's done a good job. The other options are Panic, who is an option in defence, and Gregory, Rachel Gregory. But he hasn't elected to go there. And as we've mentioned several times, the other two on the bench are both on crutches and no use at all for the time being. Although we look forward to seeing them do wonderful things in the near future. So there's a hush across the Launceston Silverdome as the crowd awaits the crowning of Victoria in this 21 and under final. South Australia will just not have time to haul in the margin. They have chased all game.
Time being hurled once again for the ball to come back into play, and we will resume. Oh, Manton and Liebelt, the two attackers in the goal circle, but good pressure there put on by Strawn and O'Brien. Margin now 9:44 plays 53 with just under 2.5 minutes remaining. Last quarter in the 21 and under nationals here in Launceston, as Liebelt takes a heavy fall, but she's okay. Back up again. Been very impressed with Rebecca Skinner for Victoria in at wing defence, and Razoukas. Almost a faultless performance from her today in this Victorian lineup as she secures Victoria's 54th goal. Margin 10, Skinner coming out for the forward move. Razoukas happy to just play the clock down. Lynch as well has been steady. Good attempt there from Westbrook. Had it tough on Amy Lynch. Young Tash Westbrook giving away perhaps 10 centimetres, and good reach there from Amy Lynch in the pocket on numerous occasions. Expectations from the two South Australian defenders in Byrne and Smith. Not quite on the mark today, but still a good performance. Wayward one. Good backup there from Cross. On great attempt there, Manton. Set the space, moved to it. 45 plays 55. Into the last minute of this game. Westbrook with the deflection. Skinner sets it up once more. Cross moved forward, but O'Brien the option. Lynch again, balking at Razoukas. Steadies, and she's had good fluency all day today with that move. 36-44, 82% shooting for Razoukas. It's under half a minute remaining. Hodge throws one over the goal line, I think, hoping that perhaps one of the forwards there would snaffle it on the line, but Victoria now, through their defenders, go into attack. Lynch can't pull that one in. 45, plays 56, time being held just momentarily to get that ball on this sideline, and the timer is up. Rasukas with the last shot. No goal, does not stand. So the final score here at the Silverdome, 21 and under nationals. Victoria plays South Australia. Victoria are victorious, 56-45, as we see both teams congratulate each other, thank each other for a well-fought-out game. Perhaps the expectations very high from the South Australian outfit after coming off their performance against New South Wales yesterday. Victoria have been strong all week. Had a good run yesterday against Queensland, but they are the victors in this national competition. And we'll look into the statistics overall for this game, and Victoria doing very well as far as the scoreline, but penalties, 71 penalties to Victoria, and a lot of those in the defensive area. Rebound, South Australia taking that statistic. Turnover, South Australia losing far too many, turning over 10 more. The attempts to post, Victoria was 69 attempts, South Australia 59, and at the end that was almost the margin. Percentage of scoring shots, 81% to Victoria. South Australia 76. Overall scoreline 56 to Victoria, 45 South Australia. And we still see the congregation happy. Gillian Lee, successful Victorian coach. And here we have Anne Sargent courtside.
Thanks, Mum. With me is Michelle Razukas, hot shot for the Victorian side. Congratulations on the victory, but on a personal note, a fantastic performance from you. You must be delighted.
Yeah, it was actually good to get those goals in, and with the help of all the other girls around us, you know, it just wouldn't be possible for me to get a win like that.
South Australia tried and tried to bridge the gap and come back into the game. They did run with you in one quarter, but you always look to have the composure and the control. What was being said to you by Gillian Lee?
Just to keep it up short and sharp. This is our game from the start, you know, take each quarter by one, and just as great to beat SA, just unbelievable.
In attack, it always looked complete. In defence, was the introduction of the player at half-time just to show the depth in the squad, not for problems?
No, just depth, exactly right, yeah, and Robin did exactly that in goal defence, yeah.
We've talked a bit in commentary about how much you've got to invest across the week of the championships, and in particular in the semi-final. The rounds really mean nothing when you get to that semi-final. You had a fairly comfortable road. South Australia, by comparison, had to go for the upset. Do you think that took a lot out of them?
I don't know, but the semis were, you know, against Queensland, they were still a tough side as well, and we just kept pushing and pushing, and this is just great, unbelievable. I can't believe it, SA, yes.
Well, I'm glad you're sort of smiling, because I've been a bit concerned about how cool you were through the game. I was waiting for a bit of an emotion, but even though you had a comfortable victory, I did notice there was an explosion in the huddle right at the end.
No, I don't know what's wrong with those girls. I should be bloody well excited, so it's just great. I'm just happy, yeah.
Why so great about South Australia? What's the edge?
Well, the Vics have always come runners up in the teams that I've always been, and just to get them back by that much is just unbelievable.
Well, we're pretty impressed with how you performed. It shows well for the future of Australian netball. Congratulations on your own game, in particular. The result for Victoria, a wonderful result. Well done. Enjoy it.
Thank you, Anne. Thanks.
Yes, and the Victorians do have the chance to make it 2 wins out of 2 finals today. They'll take on New South Wales in the open final later today. But for the Victorians in the 21 and unders, this is the first time in 4 years that they've won the title, and they'll be very pleased to get their state name on that trophy once again. Well, it's a great summer coming up on ABC Sport, not least of all because of the Hopman Cup. And Paul McNamee has assembled a fantastic field, including Russian world #1 and US Open champion Marat Safin. Mark Philippoussis will be there for Australia, along with Nicole Pratt. And Mark Philippoussis in great form. It'll be tremendous to welcome back Martina Hingis as well. She'll be playing for Switzerland. Monica Seles for the USA. Just a few of the big names there from the 31st of December. So I hope you can join us for the Hopman Cup. And, of course, later today, in about 90 minutes from now, the open final from the Netball Nationals here at the Silverdome in Launceston. New South Wales, the defending champions, taking on Victoria. There was only 5 in it when they met last Monday in the rounds. Should be a great match, and there's always a great rivalry between those states in any sport. But right now, though, we're off to Adelaide for the first of our basketball games. It's the top-of-the-table clash between the 36ers and the Townsville Crocodiles. Clinton Gribus will be your host. A great match coming up. We hope to see you back here later this afternoon. Bye for now.
Yes, thanks, Steve. Once again, that's the cause of that turnover on that occasion. No one coming to the ball. Burton did well on that occasion coming forward.
11 turnovers to the Kestrels, 18 to the Sandpipers. As that one rolls at the rim. Oh, beautiful work there from Gerard. Balance.
And fantastic elevation to take that ball.
Gerard finds Crampsey. McCaffrey. As it's held up. Sandpipers. Joe Morgan.
Great shot under pressure there from Joe.
Takes them out to 3-goal lead now. McCaffrey. Cross court to Gerard. Ramsey. McMahon. Pressure there from O'Donnell.
Looking for a strong movement to the ball here. Offered there by Cramsey.
Avellino was looking for McCaffrey, but she went down after a clash with Richardson. This time she finds her.
Both defenders dropping back here on Joe Morgan. Obviously, Janine Leach feeling that Joe's a bit of a threat at the moment, so trying to block that space. And in doing that, leaves Nat free under the post.
Avellino's worked hard in this match. 15 from 20 at 75%. I'm sure she'll be one tired person after this game, as will many of the players out there. It really has been a frantic pace through all 4 quarters in this game.
Oh, it certainly has. Certainly be looking at their recovery after this game so that they can put in a good week at training.
Time's called as we just wait for the ball to come back down to the baseline. 2 minutes 30 remaining. For the difference, the Sandpipers 49, the Kestrels 45.
Still time to come back for the Kestrels, but they'll need to score off this shot.
Burton off to Razoukas. Brings it back to within 3. And Razoukas, what a stunning game she's had. 23 from 34 attempts. But the Sandpipers with possession. Kestrels really need to get in there and get some possession of their own. McCaffrey. Fellows will stand aside. Morgan, will she take it from here? One step in, and she certainly will, but in and out. So maybe that's the break that the Kestrels were waiting for, as Fellows takes it from the baseline. And she takes it from in court, so Richardson. O'Donnell. Razoukas. Oh, pressure bowling now from Michelle Razoukas. Brings them back within 2, 1:30 left on the clock. They have the centre pass. So Richardson knows that time is of the essence.
Let's see if she can do it again.
Oh, that time Jenny didn't put her off. They're back within 1.
Really taking up the challenge now.
What a way to bring up your 25th goal. And they thought they'd cause the turnover here. Pressure now for the Sandpipers. Can they keep their head and maintain their lead? Or will the defensive efforts of the Kestrels prove too much? Still with a 1-goal lead, the Sandpipers. 1 minute remaining in the game. Crampsey to Avellino. Ooh, does a juggling effort. This time she's got the hands on it.
Avellino able to finish off then. A real pressure shot, giving them a 2-goal advantage.
Is it enough for the Sydney Sandpipers or Melbourne Kestrels? Down court quickly they go. Oh, and a mistake there. Replay. It was a difficult take for Michelle Razoukas, and the Sandpipers now with under 30 seconds on the clock as Illich comes flying, but so does Gerard. McCaffrey into Morgan. Oh, and it looks like they might sneak home here, the Sydney Sandpipers. Sandpipers 51 now, out by 3 over the Kestrels, and they have the centre pass. Avellino off to Morgan. Finished off beautifully. They really have worked well together throughout this entire match, the 2 goalers from the Sydney Sandpipers. And that is full time here at Waverley Netball Centre. What a great game it was. In the end, the Sydney Sandpipers 52 have defeated the Melbourne Kestrels 48. Well, let's take a look at the match statistics. You can see for the penalties, the Melbourne Kestrels had 6 more than the Sydney Sandpipers. Rebounds, 13 to the Sandpipers, 6 to the Kestrels. Look at the turnovers, 7 more to the Sandpipers, 19 over the Kestrels, 12. Intercepts, there were some fabulous intercepts from Michelle Neville and goalkeeper for the Sydney Sandpipers. 15 intercepts to the Melbourne Kestrels, 10. Goal percentage, 81% accuracy for the Sydney Sandpipers in this match, 75% for the Kestrels. The attempts were even. Both teams took 64 attempts at goal, but in the end, the final score, the Sydney Sandpipers 52, the Melbourne Kestrels 48, and Jenny Borlase is speaking with Natalie Avellino.
Thanks, Simone. Nat, a great game tonight. You were down by 2 goals at half-time, but came away with a 4-goal victory. How did it feel?
Felt really good, Jen. We struggled on occasions, and it was good that we could fight back, and I think our third quarter really lifted us with a tough third quarter, and that's the one that wins it or loses it for you.
I really noticed how patient you were in attack. Was that one of the strategies that you had leading into the game?
I think we have to be, especially when Joe's holding, and it's a matter of trying to work the ball as close as we can to the circle and not try and force it, because forcing it in is only going to go out at the baseline, and we can't afford to do that.
And how are you finding your new role again, back at goal attack, after being at wing attack for the last couple of seasons in the National League?
Well, actually, at the beginning of the week, I was actually starting at wing attack, but Arnika Menke actually did her knee in the State League game on Wednesday night, so that then moved me into goal. So I suppose I'm really enjoying it. Disappointed for Arnika, but because it would have been her first opportunity, but loving the role, and I suppose that win was for Arnika.
Oh, great. Well, good effort tonight, Nat, you personally, but also your team, and all the best for the rest of the season.
Thanks, Jen.
Well, we hope you enjoyed that match, and what a great win to the Sydney Sandpipers. Next Saturday afternoon at 5 p.m, make sure you tune into the match between the Sydney Sandpipers and the Perth Orioles, and I'm sure the Sandpipers will be keen to keep their names in the winner's book. Then next Sunday at 9:30, the Adelaide Ravens will take on the Melbourne Phoenix in Adelaide. Can the Ravens youngsters defeat the experienced Phoenix? Tune in to find out. And remember, you can find all the latest results on the ABC's Netball website, and you can find the site at www.abc.net.au/netball. And don't forget, this afternoon, join Steve Rebellion at 5 o'clock for all the National Soccer League action. The Perth Glory, they're going for the minor premiership. If they wrap it up this afternoon, then they've got it. Make sure you join Steve at 5. That's a national time, and it's live in the eastern states. I'm Simone Thurtell on behalf of Jenny Borlase. Thanks for joining us this morning, and have a great day.
For serious sporting commentary, look no further. The Fact.
And I was introduced and I said, oh, hi, you know, and he said, oh, hello, I'm Alex Popov. And I said, didn't recognise you without your Speedos on.
Hello, welcome to the Shallow Fact.
It's a sad day when we get a surge of national pride at, you know, beating New Zealand.
Yeah.
The Fact, Monday at 10 on ABC.
Enjoying our coverage. It's been a very, very willing first quarter, and that is it. It is quarter time here in this huge game in the 1999 World Netball Championships. Australia 12, Jamaica 8. We'll be back very shortly. In 10 news tonight, Indonesian soldiers and pro-Jakarta militias warned by the UN peacekeepers not to wreak havoc as they leave East Timor. An amazing rescue.
difference. Back to 5. Maureen Hall, the Jamaican coach, left of screen. Harvey driving it down from the back of the centre. O'Donnell whips it into Wilson, almost takes a piece of Peterson with her.
Contact goal attack, advantage taken.
Advantage play to Jamaica. Wiles uses the elbow to shift O'Donnell off the ball. A closer look from an umpire and that will be called. Watson in the air.
Contact, goal third.
Harvey is out. It's a 2-on-1 for Ellis. Please. Australia should either work hard over the ball or protect the top of the circle. What's Squire going to do?
That's it.
She's going to pressure the feet. Arms are up, trying to give Ellis a bit more time to get to it.
Throw in first, was out first.
Ooh, a fair bit of body on that. And Australia lucky to come up with that as the Australian defenders came flying through. Took a little bit of Jamaican skirt in that challenge. Oh, Toms turns it beautifully to Squire. 2 passes, it's down court for the world champs. Wilson opens nicely. She's using the baseline beautifully. It's the composure I love the most, though, as the Australian skipper in her 93rd test for Australia takes her country to 19. Let's have another look. Toms and Squire work it down court. Wilson drives the base, opens up. Nice little roll on the base from Wilson.
19-13, 7.5 to go. There's Harvey. Now McMahon across court, still in the middle third. Squire, now they've got it forward. McMahon, and she just rolls it in. It's 20-13, 7 the difference. 7 minutes has to elapse until it is half-time. Harvey just nonchalantly to O'Donnell, to McMahon, into the corner. O'Donnell again, she's been busy, McMahon. Well, she's thought about it, but she goes it alone and she misses.
Contact goal shooter.
And contact goal shooter. You can clearly hear that by the umpires.
That's the first miss for Sherelle McMahon in this match. Wonderful statistics from the young shooter, given the pressure of this game. Day 5 at the 10th World Netball Championships. And this is the best match we've seen of any yet in terms of quality and contest. I just have to go back. I don't want to misquote Connie Francis. We talked about the hype and the psych-up and the talk from Jamaica. She was quoted as saying about an earlier match, we just had to go out there and do like Australia and New Zealand does. When they get a soft team, they just trample all over them. I don't think that pays much respect to Australia or New Zealand. I think it's more that they are committed to playing their game well without relaxing. Jamaica is a little bit more of the nature. Sometimes you put it out, sometimes you don't. Let me tell you, today they are.
It's intimidating stuff, isn't it? 5 minutes and 50 to go until half-time. Tom setting things alight now for Australia. Harvey, who is tough and mean. And this time, Australia cough it up.
Goal third, please.
In the back third, Wiles, who's been very good, bounce pass to Peterson, very athletic. Likewise, Watson, good stuff. Elaine Davis steps right in, can't get any closer. In it goes. It's 20-16 for the difference. 5.5 to go until half-time. Oh, what's happened?
Jamaica making a run. Davis thought she would go to the post, but a toss is called. And a break from Elaine Davis on the toss gives possession back to Australia. She stood herself out of play. It was unnecessary. And just as quickly as Australia opened the lead, Jamaica draw it back. This game is not done. The momentum changing, swinging with 4-minute intervals. And I was about to say, Mark, when you were calling it early, Wiles and O'Donnell, that is a match in itself. It deserves to be an isolated viewing. They are bumping and falling off each other. Oh, Ellis. Davis was set up right into the back of Ellis. Ellis had no room to get her feet out to get up at the ball.
Keep both feet back, please. Both.
She took the floor out of play for her effort. And it's back to 4. Australia 20, Jamaica 16. Just under 4.5 minutes until half-time.
Is this closer than you thought it would be at this point?
Absolutely. I think Australia has the power to have gone away at 4 and 5 each quarter. But Jamaica's recovery is most impressive.
So perhaps some worrying signs here as far as Australia is concerned, not Jamaica. It's 2017. There's 3 the difference. The world champs are in trouble in the early stages of this game. This is the latter stages of the second quarter. Wonderful turnover, athletic stuff.
Over a third called. Of course, it must be touched in each third of the court in netball in progress down the court. That was over the mid-court.
Gee, they were very, very unlucky there, Jamaica, because they were about to storm forward, and the margin may have been 2. As it's turned out, if Australia score here, the margin will be back to 4. It's 2017. 3 minutes and 33 seconds to go until the break. It's 21-17. Once again, a bit of a buffer.
Important shot then from Cheryl McMahon. She drew the penalty because of intimidation, so Jamaica moving the hand over the face of the shooter. And Australia know that they're not done yet. This is a tough fight from Jamaica, and I don't fancy going into the final quarter in a goal-for-goal battle. Let me tell you, I don't think your ticker's up to it. Mine certainly isn't. At 5 the difference, 3 minutes out from half-time. Mark, I thought we did pretty well predicting the starting lineup for this match. We thought that yesterday against Samoa, when this lineup came out at half-time, Jill McIntosh was running them in for this game. Hard to tell where she'll go now.
See, there's enormous pressure on Australia's forwards by this very tight defence of Jamaica. They're forcing a lot of errors. 22-17, 2 minutes 40 to go. Look at Vicky scramble after the ball with Wiles, and Wiles, hasn't she had an interesting duel with O'Donnell now?
Unbelievable call. A replay call, and look at the look from Vicky Wilson to Bill Alexander. Wilson didn't have the speed to run that down. It was going to be a line call as to who was there first. By calling it a replay, he credited her with being there first. Of course, people may be wondering why the umpire bottom of the screen, Kirsten Lloyd, hadn't called that. It was in the left-hand side of the court, not her area. 2 minutes until the break, and a loose one out of the hands of Wilson. This is a troubling time for Jill McIntosh. She has to make the decision. Do I stay and have faith in this 7? Do I let them settle and work it out, or do I pull the reins and make the changes now?
Another turnover. Jamaica storm forward again. Francis, Connie Francis, she's the captain. She's marshalling her troops magnificently. Wiles now. Here they go again. This is Francis. Bounce pass over the top, loose ball. Gee, oh, they've got it. They've kept it in play brilliantly. Bryan gives it to Davis. This is so important in the context of the game, and she nails it. And there's 4 the difference. And Jill McIntosh, I get the feeling she may be concerned. 22-18.
And of course the margin was 4 at the end of the first quarter, so Jamaica has run goal for goal with the world champions in this second quarter. And you just sense that the last 4 minutes have been all Jamaica. Oh, swings that one. That would have made it 3. So Australia off the hook again as Ellis tries to put it into play. Davis too close. The penalty was put on court. They go through Toms. Harvey uncontested. Links with Wilson. O'Donnell has to do a 360 to find support play. It's back to the transverse line. Australia struggling to penetrate the circle. Now it comes McMahon driving right through the body of Citizen. And the shot starting to be unsettled out of the hands of the Australian shooters. McMahon the chance to rectify it. That's her 9th. And a sigh of relief. Jill McMahon not panicking, but she knows she's got a match on her hands.
23-18. The margin is 5. We've got 15 seconds to go. The timekeeper's not up. Timekeeper gets up when there's 10 seconds remaining, so that's not far off. 23-18. Australia in front, but by the skins of their teeth. Now they get a little bit of a cushion again. So it's 24-18. And the timekeeper is up, so there's less than 10 seconds to go. Can Jamaica get a late goal? I doubt it from there.
Well, Australia want them to waste this centre pass because it stops their opportunity to shoot.
So that is it. It is half-time. Australia, gee, that was a struggle for them over Jamaica. Half-time in this huge game. 10th World Netball Championships. 24-18. Back soon.
This Australian Dreams moment, proudly brought to you by Network 10. The name softball is a misnomer.
Mel Roach, who I believe is the second best pitcher in the world, she pitches around about 100, 98, 100, but she's what we call the Shane Warne of softball.
Atlanta bronze medalists, now ranked 2 in the world. This team are readying to slay the giants of the game.
We've beaten them about 4 times, and that hasn't happened to USA for quite a while.
For many of the girls, a win in Sydney would be their Australian dream.
It's quite special to me, actually, because softball's been played in Blacktown and I've grown up in the area, so winning a gold medal would just be a dream come true.
He's been gone for 3 years.
What did you say, Dylan?
Now, the original bad boy of Beverly Hills is back.
Yum.
And in good company on Tuesday nights.
You don't look happy to see me. That is so not true.
An all-new season of 90210.
Brandon's gone now. What's that supposed to mean? Our powers are useless against her.
It's all new Bev Hills action.
You can be looking at jail time.
With the return of the raspy voice Lola.
I came back because I missed you. This is getting ridiculous.
90210, following Charm, Tuesday.
The bridge has collapsed. Beer truck can't get through. You're joking.
Where you going, mate?
Hang on, lads. Won't be long.
New Ford Courier petrol and turbo diesel. More power and torque than ever before. Ford Trucks.
Stratfield's 19th birthday colour catalogue is out now, packed with huge savings. Sony 80+ 80-watt speakers, unbeatable, $38 a pair. Lowest price detachable face CD tuner, $199. Scanners and printers under $100. Motorola D560 or Alcatel View digital phones, only $49 or less with trade-in. Plus you get a free saver charger, free carry case, free portable hands-free. Telstra dual keypad cordless phone, save over $60, $138. Catalogue out now, only at Stratfield. Call 1311 77.
To me, the stock market is a sea of numbers, where from only $29, Commonwealth Securities make trading shares on the internet really cheap. I was small fry before the bank's margin loan boosted my buying power. Working as a storeman is just a means to an end. It won't be where I'll be in the future.
Whether it's shares, managed funds or margin loans you dream about.
This is where I'd like to be.
Make it happen with the bank.
Live. After 3 of the finest albums this decade comes The Distance to Here. Live, their new album, The Distance to Here. Get it October 5.
Sunday, RPM is on 2 wheels as we preview the Australian Motorcycle Grand Prix. Ingle and Perkins celebrate their Queensland 500 victory, plus our cover story, China Rally. RPM, 2 p.m, Network 10.
Are you leaving? You leaving the house?
You can stay for a while.
Don't worry about you, bud. Should I?
Party of 5, Tuesday.
Welcome back to Christchurch, New Zealand. These are the 10th World Netball titles. Hope you're enjoying our coverage on Network 10 right around Australia and indeed the world. It is half-time, 24 Australia. Jamaica not far away though, Anne Sargent. They're 18. It was just 6 the difference.
Just 6 the difference, 4 the difference at the end of the first quarter, and Australia winning the second quarter by just 2. And having a look at the statistics in goals, Australia 82% through Vicky Wilson, 83% through McMahon. So fine shooting from the Aussie girls. Also from Elaine Davis from Jamaica with 11 from 13. Not too much in the penalty count, although it does favour Australia. More attention paid to the Jamaican defenders. 6 more penalties you can see against them than the Australian defenders. Possession and turnovers, nothing in it. As Australia gets this underway, Carissa Toms takes the centre. No changes on court to either team. And that's a tough call in a game that's locked this close. Do you let them run it out or do you tilt the balance? Both coaches showing faith in their starting 7s. And I'm sure the message to Australia would be, keep it cool. Keep the control out there, stay out of the rough stuff, protect your space, protect the body and ball. McMahon steps it in. Oh, it floats nicely from the hand. I did hear Jill McIntosh talking to the shooters about remembering to keep the screens up for each other. In other words, hold a defender to protect a space for your fellow shooter.
Francis goes the air ball. Ellis replies. Brilliant work from the Australian goalkeeper. We knew she would be crucial in this match to restrict opportunities on Elaine Davis, and she's answered the challenge. Wilson has the lead on the left side of the court, working deep down to the transverse line. She takes the time to get back. And McMahon, hesitating, draws a held ball from Kirsten Lloyd.
Brian, she's got to win defence.
Ryan back plays, and O'Donnell thinks she'll have a bit of the contest.
Tackling attack.
Pretty clumsy one from the Australian vice-captain. She had nowhere to go. She'd go offside, and she went through the body of Wiles. Maybe got some satisfaction doing it, though. And again, Ellis is equal to the challenge in the air.
Yes, please.
I think that's a harsh call. I thought that one could go unnoticed. Jill McIntosh not looking absolutely comfortable. I think she knows it's there to be created by the Aussie girls. Matter of patience for Australia. McMahon opens. Every ball contested. Great jump from Gordon. She nearly touched the light fittings in the roof.
Or shot and come and go to bench.
Peterson out of play. Wilson. Cool puts in her 15th.
26-19. Bryan goes sideways to Watson. This is Francis, Connie Francis, their captain. Huge name in Jamaica. Bryan, Francis does a full circle. Nice ball. Good ball to Elaine Davis. Look at the height and the agility of this young lady, and the accuracy as well.
Silver Ferns looking on. Bernice Many left of screen, and their captain Belinda Colling. They know that down the track they expect to face Australia in the ultimate match at these 10th World Championships. And earlier today, New Zealand 74 had a fine tussle with the Cook Islands, but opened up the win to 74-43. In other matches today, England convincing over Malawi. Fiji took a win over Samoa. That was a close one. Barbados over Wales, and Canada over Northern Ireland.
That was spectacular then. Peterson done to Bryan. Pass, a good one to Francis, outside to Watson, inside to Elaine Davis. That is good netball. That's wonderful netball by Jamaica. And they draw to within 5. It's 26-21. Another look at this.
Yes, good discipline. Great touch there. Has the full stretch. The backup great from Peterson. And Jamaica quickly down forward.
Using your hip.
Oh, use of hip called against Ellis. And this crowd is divided. Just get the feeling every time Jamaica scores, there is a big flow in the stadium as we see Taroa Keenan, who's coaching the Cook Islands here, former Silver Fern. Squire. Harvey can't handle it, but O'Donnell backs up. Maybe we should batten down the hatches, Mark, because 2003, the 11th World Championships will be played in Kingston.
Well, I'm not sure I'd want to go, to be quite honest. Anyway, let's concentrate here because there is plenty of action here. It went off Watson's hand, and Squire's waiting to pick up, but the drama is unbelievable. 26-22, the margin just 4, so still a long way to go, but Australia, they're not out of the woods.
Does bring up a good point, though. Jamaica far more effective at home than away. And when Australia was in trouble against them last year, it was a tour of Jamaica. First test, Jamaica won 54-52. The second test, Australia won. But the last one just won the difference. And Jamaica would like another piece of that action. It's back to 3. Maureen Hall whacks her team. Jamaica now with possession from the centre. Have the chance to bring it to 2. And there are a lot of Aussies here in the crowd, but it's hard to hear them. Oh, brilliant work. Put it down to the little South Aussie Peter Squire, putting some good yards in around the circle.
Further over, please.
3 the difference, 26-23. Trust you're enjoying our coverage right around Australia on Network 10. Lizzie Ellis, who's had a hard day at the office. Wonderful work by Gordon to Peterson, to Bryan, to Wiles, and they're exploding forward here and sideways back to Peterson. So a very important turnover as this game draws on toward three-quarter time. Watson, Davis, no, not quite.
Shooter, comes Australia.
Pass wasn't good from Watson. It fell short, but the contact came against Davis, perhaps getting edgy that she knew the ball wouldn't make the distance.
Crash, bang, 26-23 as McMahon and also Peterson
crashed to the ground. And McMahon here, what an important one this is. We've got 9.5 to go. It's in. It's a score check. That's 26, 27, 23. So the margin out to 4.
Kirsten Lloyd, umpire from New Zealand, bottom of screen, working to the right, is not easily fooled. She's noticed that Wiles is often allowing the ball to roll off the court and away. She's calling time on each of those so that the match time isn't wasted by the players leaving the ball roll. Every second could count in this one. Cross court, long ball to Gordon. Wilson wants a touch of it. The Aussie shooter in for an intercept on the stat sheet. Time again held as the ball is collected. 4 persons scattered around the perimeter of this court. It's in a 2-court configuration for these early rounds here in Christchurch, and will revert to 1 court for the playoffs. Harvey takes the throw in. No need to wait for play. That rule abandoned. It's simply step up to the mark and put it back into play. Toms. Wilson wipes it to O'Donnell. Good hands, but the contact call, no, from out of court, called against Vicky Wilson. We're not in a good position to see that one. Both teams, though, being thwarted at either end of the court with scoring opportunities. Wiles cops a bit from O'Donnell in the air. Bumped off the side, but it goes to an Australian throw-in. Well, controversy on both sides of the ledger in this one. For the difference, just over 8 minutes on the clock in this 3rd quarter. Remembering netball, 4 15-minute quarters. Pace yourself.
Annie, this is only day 5. This is like a final. This is unbelievable. 7 minutes and 50 seconds to go. 27-23. 7 minutes and 50 seconds to go until 3-quarter time. It's 28-23. The margin out to 5. Jenny Borlase watches on. And Becky Sanders there in the background as well. Brian looking for an option.
Great support play there from the Australian bench. When you consider that they're up against each other, Borlase would dearly love to be on court, but great support for Wilson, who's out there in her spot.
28-23. Francis. And in it goes. Oh, it's good fun here in New Zealand. It's good fun for Australia at the moment, but they are only 4 in front, and Jamaica have regained possession.
Jamaica want to play it on, but just underneath us, Kirsten Lloyd is signalling something that happened in her half of the court, reminding you the umpires officiate half a court split across the centre circle, and they umpire to their right for on-court decisions. They are responsible for the entire sideline they're on and the baseline to their right. And there she is, Kirsten Lloyd, who had to blow that whistle a few times to get Jamaica's attention. They were off and running. Both whistles going then, because that play crossed almost from Bill Alexander's side across to the other side of the circle. A little bit of steam just in the last minute gone out of Jamaican play. The Aussies starting to rev it up again. A little more control, getting the better benefit of the whistle. No opening space to that post. The feeding is good, given that there's really no open pathway to the goal.
That's not about right under. No, come in.
Good shot of Peterson there, and McMahon close up. 29-24, 6 minutes and 9 seconds to go until 3-quarter time. Vicky Wilson nails it. Janine Illick's there in shot. There's Maureen Hall, the coach of Jamaica. 30-24. Lead out to 6 now. Turnover. Well done. Very athletic by the Jamaicans. Gee, that was a big crunch. And the Jamaican is down, and she's not too happy about that. She's writhing in pain. She was crashed to the ground. 2 Australians behind her. We'll have another look at this, Anne.
Harvey winds the arm up. Great touch from Gordon. The backup comes from Peterson, who tries to keep it alive. Up goes Gordon. Nowhere to land. The challenge from O'Donnell forces the contact. And she must be hurt, because it is not a good time to call a fake injury timeout, because Jamaica need to keep the momentum going. Unless, of course, they want some breathing space to collect themselves. It's open to 6. Australia 30 lead Jamaica 24. And Gordon just putting a stretch on that right hip. And Maureen Hoyle trying to keep her charges on track.
It's Marva.
Marva Bernard. I'm sorry, Mark, the Jamaican manager, looking on. And Australia will be talking about being calm, cool, controlled.
asking the players to stay on, but they may not leave the court in an injury break. And I think Gordon will be right to recover, just taking full use of the injury time available. They have a 2-minute slot allocated for an injury, and that can be taken as many times as is required. Just reminding you that we're running it down to 3/4 time. Australia with a tough one on their hands against world number 5 Jamaica. They lead by 6. Jamaica's highest ever ranking is 3rd in the world, and they achieved that in 1991. And Gordon will leave the court. Well, she must be hurt. I'm surprised by the move, unless it is to give her time to collect herself. Georgia Gordon leaves the court, and Nadine French, who doesn't give any less height to the Jamaican backline, takes her place.
Contact wing attack.
Francis looking for the high ball to Davis. She won't shoot from there. They like a closer range shot, particularly Davis. Francis is more than one likely to take a mid-range shot. She does it nicely. It's back to 5.
30 plays 25. 5.5 minutes remaining until 3/4 time. Peterson. This is Francis. Watson, good hands there by Lizzie Ellis. Gee, she's been busy. She's been stretching. She's been fossicking. She's been working extremely hard. The loose ball, Catherine Harvey runs onto it. Lovely pass there to O'Donnell. Wonderful work by the Australians. Oh, no. Unfortunately, McMahon overbalanced. She had to try and get it back, and there were 3 Jamaicans, Annie, right there.
Well, the fast break was sensational, but it meant we didn't have the numbers in attack, and Jamaica swarming as they watched McMahon off balance. Nadine French has come on at keeper, as we said, for Gordon, a less experienced player. About 8 internationals to her credit. She was a member of their World Youth Cup side back in '96. And the difference now for O'Donnell. Right, there she is. McMahon toes the line, tries to keep it alive, but it's Peterson. And now another turnover coming from the miss on McMahon. Jamaica trying to bring it back to under 3. 4 has been the magic number in this game. And I think Australia's composure is based on the fact that 4 has been the buffer.
Out of hands.
Tom's out of play. Davis working the space on
backing
Ellis.
On shooter, County Australia, backing on.
Ellis appealing the decision. Oh, it goes her way. I like Ellis. Thought Bill Alexander was pulling up the Australian goalkeeper. Good decision. Wiles. Wiles going on with it a tad too long. The penalty is advanced into the circle. Umpires having to watch all the play, not just where the ball is. It could happen off the ball. Kirsten Lloyd, pretty no fuss. Won't have any of the niggling, any of the back chat. Back to 5.
31-26. 3 minutes and 18 remaining. Davis caught in a sandwich between Harvey and Ellis over the back. And it'll be a Jamaica ball. This is their captain, Connie Francis. Davis just a bit too much height. She was at the back there of Ellis. So Jamaica with a great chance here to get to within 4. It's 31-26. There's 5 the difference. Here's Davis again. She's got it this time. This giant goal shooter. And it's in. And we've got 2 minutes and 47 seconds to go until 3/4 time. Australia 31, Jamaica right there, 27.
Well, we mentioned the great rivalry between these two teams across the history of World Championships, and I did explain the blowout score at Commonwealth Games, but if we look purely at World Championship matchups, in 1991, Australia 68, Jamaica 62, and in 95, just 9 the difference, so I guess we should be prepared for a close one. This one running true to form. And Lloyd taking a long while to set players up for the penalty. McMahon hesitates. The shot, though, is true. Sherelle McMahon on 74%, 14 from 19. Vicky Wilson at 82%. Most accurate on court is Davis with 17 from 19, and she takes another, steps it in under pressure. Ellis marking 3 feet from the landed foot. Not where she steps in, was quite at right there. Back to 4. Minute 44 on the clock. Toms. Oh, I thought McMahon was going to pull out of that move, but she knew she just needed to snatch the ball. She did well. Toms had good vision. And I am pleased with the composure out there on court, particularly from Toms and O'Donnell, who are the linking players who must keep the ends of the court cohesive. Francis nails a beauty. And the response from the crowd tremendous as they try to keep Jamaica in touch with the world champions.
33-29 for the difference. Bang on a minute to go until three-quarter time. And then another quarter. This has been extraordinary netball. Australia, the world champions, are under pressure. There's no question of that. Here's O'Donnell inside to Wilson. What can she pull out under pressure? That's what she can pull out. 51 seconds to go. 34-29. Australia leading by 5.
Great work from the reigning world champions. And Mark, if they get through this one as a reward, they'll be iced up and back on court for England tomorrow. Just as tough. And that one again live on Network 10, 3 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, if you're up for it.
The pressure continues to build, and Network 10 continues to bring all of the drama right around Australia. Another one to Connie Francis. 34-30. They just can't quite get it inside the 4. 15 seconds remaining until three-quarter time. Here's Harvey. O'Donnell. Now Toms. Now Wilson. Turnover. Crucial here. Over the top they go. Long ball, Davis. Harvey and Ellis. And they work it out. Gee, it's tough. It is very tough.
So important, that intercept from Ellis, because Australia wasted their centre. So had Jamaica scored, it would be inevitable that when they come out for the restart, they will have the centre for the final quarter.
So this quarter not quite over.
No.
Wing defence, please.
Not quite over. You can hear the umpires clearly. They are mic'd. Enormous drama here. 34-30. What's happening here, Annie?
I think we've got Wiles being spoken to by Bill Alexander. He's called for the Jamaican captain. Well, he won't have any of the attitude.
Taking the player out in the air. It is not the first occasion.
This is not the first occasion, he has just said. This is unbelievable here in Christchurch.
She's taking the player out in the air using her hips. Thank you. It's contact against the wing defence.
It's a warning. She's not been removed from the game, but it's about as clear and concise a warning as you're going to get, and it's an accurate call by Bill Alexander.
So three-quarter time is about to occur, and we need it. We need a break. We need a breather. It is three-quarter time here in an action-packed Australia-Jamaica game. 34 Australia, Jamaica 30.
Good afternoon, I'm George Danikian. As retreating Indonesian soldiers leave East Timor, Australia beefs up its presence. HMAS Tobruk providing more machinery as our troops continue to round up the militia. An amazing rescue in Taiwan. A boy pulled from the rubble 87 hours after the earthquake struck. A luxury cruiser runs aground with 3,000 people on board and the incredible power of the latest Spy in the Sky. The details first at 5.
Netball, you don't just play it, you live it. Which bank understands? The Commonwealth Bank. Helping young netballers make it happen.
Will you all shut up? The bridge has collapsed. VIC can't get through. You're joking.
Where you going, mate?
Hang on, lads. Won't be long.
New Ford Courier petrol and turbo diesel. More power and torque than ever before. Ford Trucks.
you talk me into this?
Because you want to be a superb athletic specimen like me, Baz.
Yeah, right. Ow!
You got a friction problem. Try a little oil. You got a choice of 9 in the Shell Helix range.
Helix?
Yep. Let's see. With all your night clubbing, you'd need the one for high performance. Or you'd go the one for gas. Nah, you really need extra heavy duty.
Because it's for rugged conditions, eh?
Nah, because it's for units that are getting a bit high in the mileage, Baz.
Welcome back to Christchurch, New Zealand, the 10th World Netball Championships. And this is extraordinary. 34-30, Australia struggling. They're 4 behind. And Sargent, they tell me this is not a physical game.
Well, you are allowed to contest the ball, and I think they've taken that to the nth degree. You can't interfere with a player's progress to the ball, their ability to put a move out. I would question that. I think they've allowed a lot of contest in this one, and for Australia, the answer will come if they can stay out of the physical nature of it. For the difference, and they do not want to get into a goal-for-goal situation. Oh, great rebound from Connie Francis, who snuck in under the guard of Harvey. 3 the difference. The bench is up for Jamaica. They'll be dancing soon.
And no changes for Australia, but just the one for Jamaica.
Yes, Georgia Gordon has re-entered the game. You remember she left injured in the 3rd quarter. She was replaced by Nadine French. Gordon now back on at keeper, teaming up with Peterson for Jamaica.
So Australia about to go forward. Squire under pressure from Watson. And Squire to get it. O'Donnell was the target. No, went a little further than Herta McMahon. Sideways Toms. Inside their attacking zone. O'Donnell looking for a looping pass. In the end, she goes into the corner. Here's Toms now at the top of the circle. O'Donnell. It's 34-31. And you can hear the umpire clearly. He is mic'd. McMahon. In it goes, and they're all so important now.
They sure are. And Peterson arguing the point with Bill Alexander then. She thought McMahon jumped into her body. And Jamaica now need not just to run goal for goal, they need to force some turnovers. We should explain, Australia can lose this match. It just makes it a little tough. The teams are playing at the moment to come in the top 4 in their respective sections. And what happens at the end is first in Section A will play 4th in Section B. That is a more desirable outcome than coming 2nd in Section A and playing the 3rd-ranked team in B. So you really want to keep that perfect record intact and come in top of your pool and have a bit of leeway. 3 the difference. Cool heads required for Australia. Wilson, the most experienced on court. Toms, this is her 89th cap for her country. O'Donnell, 70. Great take by McMahon, who steadies, brings it back to 4. Jenny Borlase applauds. No changes for Australia across this match. McIntosh happy that she's got the best 7 on court to do the job. Fine game from Peter Squire, one of the babies of the team. Oh, well dragged in by Davis. It spun out unexpectedly from the Francis shot. And the goals are running with the centres, which is fine for Australia if the pattern continues. Jamaica want more. Watson in late is out of play.
Contact centre from Australia.
Remembering too, just before 3/4 time, there was a warning on Sharon Wiles for turning the hip in the air and taking the body in the air. And it wouldn't surprise me if we see another warning in this final section of play. On that note, Jamaica trying to freeze the ball. Were deliberately contacting just before 3/4 time to stop Australia progressing the ball down court and scoring. Peterson. Watson takes it nicely in the air. Francis is just direct. She is looking to Davis. They'll put it from anywhere. They want to play catch-up netball. It's back to 3. Australia 37, Jamaica 34. The crowd is behind the underdogs.
11 minutes remaining until the completion of what has been an extraordinary game.
Causing contact over on Peterson. And she won't like the call, but she got in underneath O'Donnell and she forced that. She should have pulled off the body.
Okay, let's take a break very quickly. Australia 37, Jamaica 34. Back soon.
He's been gone for 3 years.
Did you say Dylan?
Now, the original bad boy of Beverly Hills is back.
Yum.
And in good company on Tuesday nights.
You don't look happy to see me. That is so not true.
An all-new season of 90210.
Brandon's gone now. What's that supposed to mean? Our powers are useless against her.
It's all new Bev Hills action.
You think you're looking at jail time?
With the return of the raspy voice London.
I came back because I missed you. This is getting ridiculous.
90210, following Charmed, Tuesday.
Will you all shut up? The bridge has collapsed. Beer truck can't get through. You're joking.
Where you going, mate?
Hang on, lads. Won't be long.
New Ford Courier petrol and turbo diesel. More power and torque than ever before. Ford Trucks.
She has seduced us, captivated and enchanted us. She is a true romantic.
Kiss me passionately.
Spend a night with Kate Sobrano as she performs her greatest hits live with special guests Vicar and Linda and Vanessa Amorossi. Fox FM presents the best of Kate Sobrano live at the Regent Theatre Saturday, October 30. On sale now at Ticketek.
Get mobile with Rider Direct for the best mobile phone deal in Australia.
Call 13 31 31 now for free connection. Save $65 with this great dollar deal. For a limited time, grab a Nokia 3110 phone with free connection to the Everyday 15 plan, which includes up to $15 worth of prepaid calls every month.
It gets better. Enjoy Yes Time plus new Yes Weekend. 25-cent mobile to fixed line local calls.
Plus 4 free accessories, free second battery, free hands-free kit, free car charger, free leather case, and free connection. That's $281 value for free. Hurry, everything you need to get mobile for only $1 delivered. A great phone, 4 free accessories, and free connection to the hottest rate plan in town.
Still not sure? This deal is backed by the Rider Direct money-back guarantee. If you change your mind, you have 7 days to return the phone package unused.
Have your credit card ready. We'll process the order over the phone and get you mobile fast. Call 13 31 31 now.
It's never been easier to get mobile.
If you're really into netball, you don't just play it, you live it. Which bank understands? The Commonwealth Bank. Helping young netballers make it happen.
Welcome back to Christchurch. 40-34. The news is Australia lead by 6.
Yes, some great play from the Australian girls. A couple of contact calls against Jamaica, and Australia made good use. As Harvey is knocked to the floor, time is called by Kirsten Lloyd. Not called by Australia, it's called by the umpire. Harvey now out of play. Jamaica add another to their total. The difference is 5, but as we just take another look at that, up goes Harvey, and the trick comes from Davis, who spread the feet wide. McMahon, despite her youth, providing a cool head in the Australian forward line, has stood up to the pressure. 80% for McMahon, 84% for Vicky Wilson, and they've really shared the responsibility in goals. Wilson 21 to her credit, 20 to McMahon. And as we mentioned earlier, this is not enough for Jamaica, running goal for goal with the world champions. And I think with just under 8.5 minutes remaining in the match, the Australians are going to be in all sorts of bother. The bodies will come out of nowhere very shortly.
Spending off court goal defence, partial shot. From here,
just a tick over 8 to go until the completion of this game. 41-36. Vicky nails it. Vicky Wilson, arguably the best goal shooter in the world. And she certainly needs to be at the moment. McMahon with her down there as well. Here's Jamaica now. As Connie Francis, she knows her side has a sniff here. They've played remarkably well. They've played very physically, but they've been right with the world champions. 42-36, Davis and Harvey. And Harvey just pulling the head back there as Davis's hands and arms all over her.
Yes, I thought Ellis was unlucky to draw the obstruction a moment earlier. I thought their positioning was good. It's all history now. It's another goal to Jamaica. 5 the difference. And I just had the feeling that time, and I hesitate to say it, may be on Australia's side halfway through this final quarter. 5 can be made up easily, but I think Australia controlled enough to keep scoring and not lose their heads.
Contact, wing attack, penalty pass.
Contact goes against Watson, and with every contact there is return chat from the Jamaicans to the umpire making the call.
Contact, wing defence.
Harvey encouraging McMahon to come onto the ball. They use the corners. McMahon finds the drive to the post, and it's a delicate ball from O'Donnell that finds the space well. And McMahon takes the lead out to 6. Australia saving some of their best netball for this final stage.
Contact, wing attack, penalty pass.
O'Donnell getting a bit of her own back, also taking a bit of body in the air. I don't think Wiles and O'Donnell will be exchanging Christmas presents this year. Great take, Davis up high and controlled on the landing. I don't understand the pass off, I've got to tell you. At this stage of the game, the answer is to go to the post. Cheeky stuff from the Jamaicans. Pays dividends, but risky, I've got to tell you, particularly against the calibre of defence they're marking, Ellis and Harvey.
Australia's centre pass. Toms, you're watching all of the action right across Australia on Network 10, live and exclusively. Hope you're enjoying our coverage. We're having a ball bringing it to you. This has been one heck of a matchup, and it's only early days in the 10th World Netball Championships. Vicky Wilson again with Vicky, and it's in, and it's 44-38. A little breathing space, Anne.
Yes, I think I feel a bit better about it now. I think Australia well in control of this one, and I think some of the steam coming out of the Jamaican game. Should they take this match, Australia and England will remain undefeated in Section A. They meet tomorrow. Just reminding you that action will be live on Network 10, 3 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. And Australia will need an early night for that one as well. The world champs laying a great foundation in these 10th World Netball Championships. And Australia's slowing the pace down now too. They're not in a rush. They're letting the ball do the work. Taking no risks. Maybe that was a tad ambitious. Does draw the penalty though. And another settler for Australia. Wilson well aware that that gives even more breathing space. And I think that will be it for the world number 1.
The way, please.
4 minutes, 40 seconds to go, as you can clearly see in the left-hand corner. Australia 45, Jamaica 38. They've put on a special show here. They've really put it up for the world champs. Harvey thought about a sling pass, thought better of it. O'Donnell, Toms, McMahon. Interesting that Jill McIntosh has not made any changes as O'Donnell crashes onto her backside. She's up, she's okay, and she gives it to McMahon, and McMahon walks in, looks, focuses, and she gets it, and that could be it. 46-38, the margin 8, 4 minutes to go.
Australia on track to take it to 10 in this Day 5 match, a crucial game in Section A. And the sting coming out of the Jamaican performance in these closing minutes. They've almost conceded, except for some of the off-the-ball play. O'Donnell tripped moments earlier, and now Harvey taken down.
That is contact out of the circle.
Davis goes to the post. Obstruction call against Ellis. And the smile tells the story there. Hard to compare an obstruction with a knock to the ground, isn't it? But they draw the same reward.
I've got to tell you, that was very disciplined of Catherine, because she fell to the ground, knocked over, but just got on with the job.
Well, she's a tough cookie, respected for her own style of flamboyant defence, and she's a tough player.
Taking space away.
Taking space away. That's a forcing call, causing contact. That has been the pattern of this game from Jamaica, and it has not gone past Alexander and Lloyd, the 2 umpires officiating. I think, Mark, your comment about good discipline can be credited to each and every one of these Australian players. Very disciplined performance from Australia. It's been tough, almost brutal at times, and they've stayed out of it. Once again, Jamaica recalled to the penalty position, asked not to crowd and take space away from the player in possession. Jamaica with the centre pass.
Distraction first, Billy pass.
Have to remember too, this will take something out of Australia. A very physical game, quite a few knocks. Players on the ground. It's a hard one to recover from when you're facing a team the calibre of England tomorrow. England ranked number 4 in the world.
Please. Take the ball.
Bronze medalist at the Commonwealth Games. There will be some tired legs, aching backs in this Australian pack.
No, sorry, take the penalty. Thank you. Advantage contact, keeper.
47-40, Australia with a 7-goal break. Tom's from the centre, 1 minute and 42 seconds remaining in this very physical clash. I trust you are enjoying our coverage right across Australia and throughout the world. This is the 10th World Netball Championships. This is Australia. This is Australia under pressure. And this is Jamaica really putting it up to them and doing a wonderful job. But they've been so physical. 47-40, the Australian players are up off the bench. And the umpire is really giving these players a bit of a workover, particularly the Jamaicans. Have a look at that. The Australian camp are up.
The bench, please.
So Wiles is out of the game. A major sensation here. She's been using the elbows, and the umpire was right there, and she is out with 1 minute 19 to go. What a sensation. Listen to the crowd here. 1 minute 19 remaining. Australia leads by 7. It's 47-40. And Wilson looks, focuses, misses. McMahon at the back. And it'll be Jamaica to work it away from defence. Gee whiz, this game has had everything. It's been extraordinary. And it is early days in the 10th World Championships. Less than a minute to go. Davis. What a duel she's had with Liz Ellis.
Contact, goal defence, both sides. Come on, goal defence.
And once again, I reiterate, you can hear the umpires. They're fully mic'd. You can hear exactly what they're saying. Elaine Davis scores. Out of the middle. Go Jamaica. Watson has the ball knocked out of her hand by Squire. And Sargent now is wandering down on court, hoping to get an interview with an Australian player, perhaps. Immediately, the whistle blows. 47-42, 22 seconds to go. 5 the difference. Toms, Harvey. Another clash.
Contact goalkeeper.
This time Wilson and Gordon. Listen to this crowd.
Contact goalkeeper.
It's 3/4 full, and you can hardly hear yourself think. And look at the Australian coach. She's shouting from the bench. In it goes. And Australia have wrapped this up, but gee, they had to work extraordinarily hard for it. And one would get the feeling that there'll be some sore bodies. Australia 48, Jamaica. Oh man, they did well. 42. It was outstanding. It was a wonderful game, and there are the Australians and also the Jamaicans linking hands. I wonder whether Wiles is there. I think she may well be. She got a little carried away and she was sent off. It was one of the extraordinary things you'll see in netball. We didn't expect to see it. We knew it was going to be physical, but we just didn't think. There's Maureen Hall, the coach of Jamaica, and she would be bitterly disappointed because she was so confident before the game. In fact, they were talking about winning the championship. They can still do that, but they haven't beaten Australia here. Well, I hope you, and stay with us, but I hope you enjoyed that right across Australia and around the world on Network 10, live and exclusively. 48-42, and there's the Jamaican camp. Gordon, who was forced off initially late in the game and then came back on.
And just getting into position, Vicky Wilson. And she's about to talk with Anne Sargent. Here's Anne.
Australian captain Vicky Wilson, I just want to check if you've still got two arms, Vic.
I have, Annie. Luckily, mine was pretty, well, she was in control, unlike the rest of them.
It was a very tough match, and we knew body control would be an issue for the Jamaicans with respect to umpiring and for you with respect to control on your game. I thought composure was the key thing for Australia.
Oh, absolutely. I thought we showed absolute composure all the way throughout the whole game, and when they started to really get into it in that last quarter, I thought we did well to walk away with 7 able bodies at the end of the game.
You obviously were expecting a physical clash. Was it more than you're expecting?
Oh, no. We knew they were very confident, very cocky. We knew they'd come out hard and they'd go. If they couldn't get the ball, they'd go for the body, and they did that.
And just quickly, congratulations on the match. It was a tough one, but you've got to step out again tomorrow.
Oh, absolutely, and it was good to get another win under our belt, and looking forward to tomorrow's game.
Well done. Congratulations.
Thanks, Annie.
Yes, Anne Sargent there with Vicky Wilson, arguably one of the best in the world as far as goal shooters is concerned. Australia 48, Jamaica 42. Back soon.
Hello, intense news of 5 more peacekeeping muscle arrives in Dili on board HMAS Tobruk as retreating Indonesian soldiers are warned not to wreak havoc on the way. Typhoon Bart sets its sights on northern Japan after killing at least 26 people in other areas of the country. 3,000 people stranded on a luxury cruise liner stuck on a sandbar. And a powerful spy satellite heads for a mission out of this world. We'll have the details for you coming up next.
Hello, Julie, Mike and Paul here.
I've got no pants on. At 9:30.
God almighty, he's got no pants on. Monday night, 9:30.
9:30 Monday.
It's the same show.
Except much more filthy.
Just in case you didn't know.
Raymond is only 4. 2 years ago, he watched his father die. Now his mother is dying too. He knows his mum is sick, so he does what he can. Collecting water so dirty, it could make him ill too. Gathering firewood, helping her at home. As hard as it is for Raymond, imagine what it must be like for his mother. Wondering what the future holds for her son. But he does have a future. Raymond's been sponsored through World Vision. Sponsorship means that World Vision is working with Raymond's community to provide clean water and better health care. Raymond can also look forward to school and to counselling for the difficult times ahead. There are many children like Raymond who are at great risk through no fault of their own. That's why they need our help. Please, call 13 32 40 now and sponsor a child like Raymond.
The bridge has collapsed. VIC can't get through. You're joking.
Where you going, mate?
Hang on, lads. Won't be long.
New Ford Courier petrol and turbo diesel. More power and torque than ever before. Ford Trucks.
6:30 Sunday, see Canada's own accident-prone Captain Video. Fancy some target practice? Or weird game shows from Japan? And the amazing dog woman. You'll never guess how she tells her dogs apart. On Unreal TV, 6:30 Sunday on 10.
Welcome back to Christchurch, and what an extraordinary situation Australia has to meet defeated Jamaica only just. Liz Ellis joins us. Liz, how do you feel after that? That was extraordinary.
Yes, I feel really tired, Mark. they're always a really tough team to play. I think Jamaica always come out to put the bodies in and unsettle us, and we knew it was going to be a physical match, but possibly not that physical. But I think our skills won through in the end, and the 5-goal margin's a pretty good buffer to have.
And what about when Wiles was taken off late in the game? A real sensation.
It was a real sensation. I think it's something that we expected. She had been warned earlier in the match by the umpire, so when she continually kept on offending against the rules, that's the time that she was to be taken off. So it really didn't come as a surprise, although I guess it's a bit of a disappointment because it was such a great game.
And very quickly, your performance against Elaine Davis.
Yeah, I was pretty happy. She can jump, and I knew that I wasn't going to get all the high balls put into her, and I knew I was going to cop a bit of a flogging in the air, but the best that I could do was to try and get the ones that were poorly thrown, and Peter and Carissa and Kath out the front did some great work, so I was able to get my hand to a few, which was good.
Good on you, mate. Have a good night's sleep.
Thank you very much. I might need it.
Good on you. Lizzie Ellis there. Great performance by her. A fantastic performance by both sides, of course. Australia just narrow victors over Jamaica. Let's have a look at the pool standings now. For Section A, Australia has played 3. They've won 3. Thank heavens. England has played 3. They've won 3. And Jamaica has played 3. They have won 2. Then Fiji, Samoa, USA, Malawi, and Singapore. Anne Sargent joins us. I'm exhausted.
I am too. I don't know what they're complaining about. It wasn't too tough, was it?
No, it was an easy one. Surprised you a bit?
I am. It's a return to Jamaica of old, I think, in terms of the amount of contests they could put out there. And it was brilliant for international netball. Very tough for the Australian girls. I thought they showed great discipline and great composure, which is sensational. They'll be a bit sore and sorry tomorrow morning, but they get to run it out against England.
And what about Wiles? What an extraordinary situation late in the game, taken off. She was warned.
It was heading that way. One warning and the next offence means that you'll be removed from the game, and she really did taunt that. She persisted with it, so I think a lack of discipline, not responding to clear signals from the umpires, but it was sensational.
It's going to be a big game tomorrow too. 3 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, Australia taking on England. That is going to be a big game. So please join us then. I'm Mark Aston. On behalf of Anne Sargent, have a great night. We'll see you next time round. Bye for now from Christchurch.
1999 World Netball Championships. Proudly brought to you by the Commonwealth Bank and Caneston Hygiene Rinse. Medicine for your laundry.
It's all fun and games on Good News Week, 9:30 Monday on 10.
Tonight at 6:30, The Wind in the Willows. Followed at 8:30 by Eddie Murphy and The Golden Child. And at 10:30, The House from Hell, The Best and Worst.
First at 5. 10 News with George Danikian.
Tonight, a big boost to our peace force in Dili. Indonesia takes its anger out on our farmers. And footy fever sweeps Melbourne, with Sydney standing by for its share.
Welcome to the land of the long white cloud. From across the Tasman and around the world, they have gathered in the splendour of New Zealand's garden city, Christchurch, to compete for netball's greatest prize. And leading the assault is our own reigning world champions. The world champ, in it goes! After a bruising encounter with the Caribbean Queens, the Aussies are nursing some sore heads from their first big test at this year's titles. Victory has kept the Australian Championship train on track, and a showdown with the Kiwis looms at week's end.
But New Zealand on a blistering patch at the moment.
Today, it's the old dart, and after some big wins of their own, will prove a more than capable foe for the Australians.
Stanley in great form.
Welcome to Network 10's exclusive live coverage as the pride of Australia defends their title. This is the 1999 World Netball Championships.
Hello everyone and welcome along to Christchurch, New Zealand. Great to have your company right around Australia, live and exclusively on Network 10. This is the 1999 World Netball Championships and it's great to be with you. Joining me in commentary is former Australian captain Anne Sargent. Anne, I can't get yesterday's game out of my mind, Australia-Jamaica.
Well, you, Mark, and everybody else, they were talking about it before the match. They're still talking about it. Sensation here in Christchurch. What a match. Will go down as an all-time great, tough contest.
Well, Australia are undefeated so far, but that game was one of the most physical games I've seen for a long, long time. Do you agree with that?
Absolutely. I'd have to say it was a brutal match. Australia went into that game knowing that it was going to be tough, but it was tougher than tough from the first. The bodies were out there. And, of course, sensational stuff between Sharon Wiles and Shelley O'Donnell. They'll both be packed in ice last night.
That was extraordinary. Have you ever seen anything like that? Of course, Sharon was taken from the court with a minute or so to go.
Yes, she was, and Jamaicans were outraged, but I think it was a fair decision by Bill Alexander. It was there from the start, and I think actually the warning was a little slow in coming. And as players at this level, you've got to respond quickly to the umpiring calls, and there's no excuse once there's a warning. Change what you're doing.
OK, let's have a look at the results now, Annie, from yesterday.
Yes, well, definitely Australia up against Jamaica was the showpiece match of the championships to date. Nothing in it. The world champions ultimately taking the match by 5. Vicky Wilson and Sherelle McMahon sharing shooting responsibilities and very accurate at 80 and 78% respectively. In other key Day 5 matchups, after slow starts, top seeds England and New Zealand both running out comfortable winners. England over Malawi 76-38 and New Zealand over Cook Islands. South Africa and Trinidad Tobago, the other match of interest. South Africa racking up a 55-goal victory in what was a rather lacklustre game.
Australia-England today is the key matchup. How do you find it?
Well, England can't be underestimated by Australia. They mustn't go into a complacent. England has put up some high scores and they're being muted as possible semi-finalists here at the 10th World Netball Championships. A 90-goal match from them, a 32-goal quarter in earlier days, so there's some good scoring in that English attack.
We're going to have a look at the Australian line-up shortly. Do you think there'll be many changes?
I think possibly Jill McIntosh will be sensitive to two things, that some of the players had very tough games yesterday. It'll be hard to recover from that, and also that she has absolute faith in the entire depth of this squad, so I think she'll put a few more out to start.
So Australia taking on England very shortly. We'll take a break. This is the 1999 World Netball Championships. Back soon.
They were the world's most wholesome family. But behind the scenes, it was a very different story. Sex, crime, paranoia, exploitation, homosexuality. The Brady Bunch was a literal cocktail of controversy. Now the truth is out in this not-to-be-missed Channel 10 exclusive, featuring never-before-seen footage of the family you thought you knew. We're revealing stories even the tabloids won't show you. The Australian premiere of The Brady Bunch Exposed, tonight on Channel 10.
If you're really into netball, you don't just play it, you live it. Which bank understands? The Commonwealth Bank. Helping young netballers make it happen.